Hi there, welcome to the USDB family, and we're so glad that you're here. This fairly short video, it should be about 15 minutes, is going to walk you through how to register your child as a new student at USDB. I'm going to be showing you everything on my screen step by step so you can follow along. Don't worry if you get lost or stuck. I'll show you some other things you can do to get help or contact information to talk to me or talk to your campus. Your school should have given you a registration link, which would get you to the screen that I'm sharing with you right now, and a verification code. The verification code is going to look something like USDB 2526 and then the campus. If you're watching this in a different school year, that middle section changes by school year. So it's always USDB in caps. Middle section is the school year 25, 26, 26, 27, and then the last three digits are the school campus that you attend. This is just for new parents. If you're a returning parent, you're going to want to go through PowerSchool Parent Portal. If you're a returning parent with a new student, I would still suggest you go through PowerSchool Parent Portal and click that registration link. You can then register your child that's already with USDB, and at the end of it, you go back to the dashboard and there is a new student link for you to start a new student registration, and that way those two students will be tied together in PowerSchool. I'm going to assume, though, that all of you here are brand new. We're going to start with this create an account. I'm going to walk you through the different steps of logging in and then the different sections of registration and places some people get stuck, and just kind of explain it a little bit. Then we'll get towards the end. I'm going to show you the summary page, which is where a lot of people get stuck, where they get grayed out and they can't submit. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. If that's where you're at right now, you've already logged in, you've already done most of registration, and you're stuck at the end, just fast forward to the very end of this video and you'll see that summary page and how to work around that. So let's start with create an account. You're never been to enrollment before, you're going to create an account. Do know that PowerSchool is used at a lot of different school districts, but they're always separate. So even if you had a PowerSchool account at a different school district, you would still need to create a PowerSchool account with USDB. So let's click create an account. As you can see, it's pretty easy. It's just your first name, last name, email, and then you create a password. So my only suggestion on this is this email address. Use an email address that you're going to remember what you use next year. I know some people have like a junk email address or something they use for things they don't want to get a lot of contact on. And I don't mind you using that, but just remember that's what you use. Write it down somewhere, because you do have to connect this new student registration that you're about to do, this site, to PowerSchool Student Information System. So next year you would log in as a parent in the parent portal, and it would take you over here, and you have to connect these two accounts. It'll make more sense next year. But for right now, just remember that you need to use an email address that you're going to remember. And then the password, yes, it'd be helpful if you use something you're going to easily remember or write it down, but you can always reset the password for enrollment. After you do that, you're going to click create an account. You should get an email and all of that to activate that account. Once you've got it all set up, you're going to come back to this screen and you're just going to go to the sign in part. I'm not going to create a new account because I test these all the time and I have a million of them. So we're just going to sign in, and my screen's going to look a little different than yours because you're going to see a lot on my screen. Your screen is just going to have new student registration 2526, and that's what you're going to click. One thing you need to know, see the globe in the very top. If you prefer Spanish, you can switch it to Spanish to do this form. So let's click on new student registration. So you can see I have a lot of test students on here. So you're going to add your student. I'm running out of Disney princesses. I always use a student that you can tell is not really a student so that we don't get confused. Okay. And let's put a birth date. I better do a 2000 year, huh? Okay, 2020. So we're going to add that student, and we're going to say start from scratch, just trying to get another student that I already have. Okay, so here, this page, you're just going to read it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go to the next page, and this is where I was talking about. You're going to enter that verification code. Your school campus should have given you this. If you do not have this information, talk to them. They should have sent you some kind of letter with this on it. But as I said, it's just USDB all in caps, the school that year that we're attending. So we're 25, we're going into 26. Next year we'd be going 26, 27, and so on. And then the last 3 digits are the campus, or the blind campuses are actually 4. It's like USBN, USBC. And then you're going to hit next. That's going to take you to the form. It's going to ask you to keep the legal name. That is important because this establishes your state ID. And if your student has done any other schools or they've done anything in the state where they've gotten a state ID, we want to match those. So make sure you put their middle name if they have one, that the last name is exactly what's on the birth certificate. The first name's not a nickname. It's actually what's on their birth certificate. And then you're just going to roll through these. As you can see, if there's any kind of problems with data, it's going to say, oh, wait, you needed a 0 before this. So let me put a 0 there. Your home school district is just your neighborhood school. So if you live in Canyon School District, you'd click Canyons. If you lived in Harriman, you'd click Jordan. If you're not sure, you're new, you have a preschool, you can Google that or just go ask a neighbor, what school district are we in? Everything that says required, obviously you have to answer. Things like student cell phone numbers, you can see it's not required. If they don't have one, you don't want to share that, you do not have to. Then you're going to roll down, answer all these questions, go to the next page. If you don't know the answer to something, like you're like, I don't know what a peer student is, then it doesn't apply to you. Just say no. Keep going. One clarification on ethnicity and race. The federal race system works like ethnicity for Hispanics and Latinos. You're going to want to say, yes, I'm Hispanic, but then you would have to go ahead and pick a race. So whatever race you identify with other than Hispanic, that's just the way the federal government has set it up. And so if you decide to say, oh, I'm Hispanic, but I also identify as Native Hawaiian or a Pacific Islander or American Indian, you can change that there. And then know if you do say American Indian, you are required to select a tribe. If your tribe is not listed, you can say other, and then you just move on in here. Contacts is a little bit sticky. Sometimes people get confused on a few things. So parent or guardian 1, emergency contact 1. I always suggest you put yourself first, significant other second, and then another emergency contact. You're required to have 3. You don't have to have more than 3. So fill it out. One thing to note is you cannot share an emergency contact phone number. So let's say I have a home phone. I can't say that's my home phone, that's my husband's phone, that's my grandma's phone. We each have to have a separate contact number because this is for an emergency. So put your cell phone, if you have it, your spouse's cell phone next, and then hopefully your third contact has a separate phone. If for some reason they don't, I would say, a work contact. If you're new to town, you're like, I can't think of a third person. I don't have anybody close by. My family lives out of the country. Don't repeat yourself because that gets confusing to the school. You come in as a parent and a guardian. So put a fictional person here. Like I just made Cinderella. You can put Cinderella. You could put a Disney princess, whatever, in here that's a fictional character. So when the school looks at it, they say, oh, they must not have had a third contact. I would highly suggest you find one if possible. You can ask a neighbor. You could ask your boss at work. We're only talking about listing their name and their number if there was an emergency and we tried the first 2 numbers and we couldn't get you. It's not somebody that's going to receive emails and we're not going to call them when your student's not at school. That's not going to happen. This is only for an emergency. So if you can fill it out, perfect. If you can't, put a fictional person in here. And when you get to the phone number, which is required, use a phone number that looks obviously fake, like all straight numbers, 555, 555, 123, something like that, where I can look at it and say, oh, they didn't have a contact, and I'll just get rid of this contact. At the very end of this, you'll find a question, if I had filled it out, that says, do you want to add another contact? And you can say yes, or you can say no. If you have more people, like you want to list aunts and uncles, you have a lot of family in town and you'd like to list more people, say yes. Just know when you say yes that it's going to bring up all these required fields that have to be filled out. If you're done and you don't have any more, it's perfectly okay to say no and stop with 3. The reason I say that is sometimes people get in a hurry and they click yes, not realizing that it's going to make all the next thing required. So then they fill out a 4th one and then they say yes again and they fill out a 5th one. And by like the 7th one, they're pretty over it, right? So make sure you say no when you're done adding contacts. Okay, so let's move to the next one. As you can see, some of this stuff is not required. I suggest it if you've got information you want to share. These health questions they're very important. Does your child have allergies? Do they have food issues, medicines, all of that? If I say yes to a health question on here, it will trigger this note that says a nurse is going to call you. That is so they can get more information. What is your student allergic to? We want to put an alert on our system that says this student is allergic to bees or whatever, so we know what's going on. You're just going to acknowledge that everything you told us on that page is correct. Then you can move on. Transportation is another important one. If you're going to require your student to be transported to USDB campuses, you're going to want to fill this out. It's going to ask you some questions. I like to point out this pickup or drop off different is important if your child goes to daycare or grandma or someplace other than your home address. You're going to want to say, yes, on Monday and Wednesday, I need you to pick them up at grandma's house, or I need you to drop them off at daycare. There's even a note box down here at the bottom where you can say that. You can say 3 days a week they need to go here, 2 days a week they need to go there. This page actually goes to our student information system, which Wasatch Transportation can see. So they'll get this information and they'll know, okay, this is the situation. And they'll reach out and talk to you more about it, but at least this way they can see what your needs are before your student starts school. Do know they need 48 hours before they can pick your student up. So do fill out registration way before school starts and at least 2 days before school starts. Then you're going to go on to the agreement page. This is really just all the things that you would think of when you fill out registration. So can your student use a computer? Our Ogden campus has a swimming pool, so could they use the swimming pool if they were up in Ogden? Can they go on a field trip? Just know this is a generalized thing. You're still going to get a permission slip when a teacher's taking your child on a field trip. They're not just going to go off without saying anything to you. So read through these. Obviously, we love to share photos of our students, and you just need to say if you're comfortable with that. As you're reading through these, you'll see some that have a document, like a policy that you'll need to read before you agree. You can always say no. I mean, they all have yes or no. But just realize if you say no, like to a field trip or to the library, that will affect your student, what they're doing at USDB. And you may have a teacher reach out and say, are you sure you don't want them to go to the library? So just read through these, fill them out. We do have some like anti-bullying policies, some policy things in here. Then you're going to go to the signature page. Read through this. You're going to do an electronic signature, like I'm sure you have in other documents, just saying, I filled this out to the best of my ability and I believe everything's correct. This is the part I was talking about that trips people up. So the minute I hit summary, it's going to change all the required fields to red in all of these pages. And you're going to look and go, oh my gosh, she has a lot. Well, obviously I was talking to you and I didn't fill this out. So let's go back to this quick one here. If you click that red circle like I just did, it's going to jump you right back to where you forgot to fill something out. So see now required, that box is red, and it's going to say, oh, you forgot to do this. So I'm going to say yes, no, and I'm going to acknowledge this. And then I'm going to jump back to summary, and it's going to give me a green arrow. What you're striving for is all of these to be green arrows. If you have any red, do you see the submit button at the bottom? The blue submit button is grayed out. It will not let you submit until all of these things are green. And that's an issue because the school can't see this until you're completely done and you submit it to us. It's your personal information in an outside website until you submit and the website sends it to us. And then we can see what you put in. So keep clicking these until you end up with no errors. Everything on this page is green, and then you'll be able to submit it to us. If you have struggles with that, like you just can't figure out why it's not letting you submit, or you don't understand the question that it's asking you, you are always welcome to reach out to me. I am the PowerSchool System Administrator, and my email is Kathryn with a K, so KATHERINEC at usdb.org. So Kathryn C at usdb.org. You can also reach out to your school campus that you're attending, and they can help you. Do know that this registration is much easier to do on a computer. You can do it on a cell phone, but sometimes it's tricky. One thing you can try is if you're on Google, you can go up to the 3 dots at the top. And if I was on a cell phone, it would have a little checkbox that says desktop site that would help me shrink it down a little bit and make it look more like a computer screen. But if you're struggling, you can always walk into the school campus, ask to use their computer, and they're more than happy. They usually have interpreters there around when school starts, and they're more than happy to help you. I also am more than willing to jump on a Zoom call with you if you need to share your screen of a place that you're really stuck and you don't understand what it means. Feel free to reach out to me to have me do that. You can also always email me. Once you're completely done and it finally is blue and you could submit, what happens is this information goes to a holding place, and your school sees that and they say, oh, this person has filled out new student registration. They approve it. And then it goes into PowerSchool, our student information system, which is where your students' grades will be and their schedule and all of those things. After that, you're good to go. Your school will probably reach out to you, and you're welcome to reach out to them if you have specific questions about what day does school start, what time does it start, how is Wasatch transportation going to work, and what time do they pick up my student. All of those good questions you can send straight by email or phone call to the school campus, and they're more than willing to help you. If you have technical issues or don't understand something, feel free to reach out to me. I don't always know the little school details since I work at the district, but I'm happy to help you find the right person if you need it. That's all there is to it. If you have questions, again, reach out to me. We are so excited that you're here, and we can't wait to meet your student and have you start with us.